I believe everyone in the world is incredible and unique in his or her own special way. But we can't forget the fact that there are just some people designed in ways we can never understand. From an 80-year-old man who hasn't showered in 60 years to a 6-year-old with his back looking like that of a turtle's, here are 8 people you won't believe exist. Number 8. World's largest hips. 48-year-old Michele Ruffinelli was born in America, and she holds a world record for having the largest hips in the world. According to the World Record Academy, her hips are exactly 8 feet in circumference, which is obviously a result of her 420 pounds of body weight. She is also only 5 feet tall. Even though she may have the widest hips today, she wasn't always like that to begin with. In her early 20s, Michele was actually a normal-sized woman, even though she weighed slightly above average, around 180 pounds. At age 22, the increase in size began as she added an extra 56 pounds. In her defense, she did add that after she gave birth, and women do add weight after they give birth. She later added a lot more weight and developed an increase in her hip size after she had 3 more kids. But the kids weren't the only cause. She was speculated to have a medical condition known as lipedema. Number 7. Corset for 3 years. A lot of women out there would do anything to get that slim and slender waist. Some go on diets, strict regimen, and in some cases, wear corsets. For those who may be wondering what a corset is an article of clothing worn in a routine manner, let's say 8 to 12 hours a day, that helps you adjust your posture and provides compression around your midsection to enhance heating, which reduces fat accumulation and promotes a great shape. Most people who wear corsets wear them for about 8 to 12 hours, but can you imagine keeping that thing on for 3 years? Is that even safe? Michelle Koepke, a German slimmer, doesn't seem to mind that, as she is clearly obsessed with maintaining an extremely slim waist, causing her to have that thing on for 3 years, even while sleeping. She managed to shrink her waist from the initial 25 inches to an outstanding 16 inches. Koepke doesn't own the record for the slimmest waist. That award goes to Kathy Jung, who has a waist of 14.9 inches. It's probably why she wants to shrink hers down to 14 inches. Talk about pushing yourself to the limit. Number 6. Turtle Boy. No, he doesn't have a shell and happens to know ninjutsu, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. In fact, the reality is far more unfortunate and sickening than you could even imagine. Some of us may have had a mole at some point in our lives. It may be small, huge, on our face, or on our back. But there's one thing they all have in common. They're extremely annoying to look at. Except if you decide to attach an artificial mole, that is. That being said, I can only imagine the horror felt by little Didier Montalvo when he realized he had a disease known as congenital melanocytic nevus, which caused a large mole to grow and ultimately cover his back. Ew! The poor boy from Colombia was just 6 years old, and this practically ruined his social life by attracting negative attention from his peers, who never stopped teasing him. To make matters worse, he was banned from school. Didier was coincidentally born during the eclipse, so a lot of villagers already concluded that he was a cursed boy and limited their contacts with him. But that wasn't the only struggle Didier had to go through. The giant mole wasn't just awful to look at, it also badly affected his health, and his mother couldn't afford to pay for the required surgery. When all hope seemed lost, Neil Bulstrode, a plastic surgeon from London, came across the unfortunate sight and had his team fly to Bogota to help the boy. After a few painful surgeries, the mole was eventually removed, and the doctor admitted that this was indeed the worst case he had ever gotten involved in. If you think that was icky, wait until you see number 4. Number 5. The man with no fat. Before you conclude that he's probably living the dream life, I suggest you hear me out, please. Tom Staniford is an English paracyclist born in Exeter and was declared ineligible to be a paracyclist due to some health conditions, like moderate loss of hearing to both of his ears, very poor flexibility in his hands and legs, connective tissue disorders affecting both hands and feet, and a very low amount of fat. His body has a rare metabolic condition called MDP that prevents his skin from storing fats for future use. It's so rare that it has only affected 8 people around the entire world. But he wasn't always like this. In fact, he was born a normal and healthy baby until he noticed that he was slowly losing fat around his arms, soles of his feet, and stomach from the age of 12. Despite the condition, Tom has a degree in law, a determination to be a champion cyclist, and a very supportive relationship. Number 4. The man who hasn't showered in 60 years. So, you go to bed just one night and forgot to take a shower. You then wake up the next morning with your body feeling quite itchy, and you really think you're such a pig? Well, then, I'm guessing you haven't met 80-year-old Amu Haji, the man who hasn't bathed in 60 years. Although, nothing at all really seems to be physically wrong with him for making such a decision. The 80-year-old Iranian man lives alone in Degshah village, a village in the southern Iranian province of Fars. When asked, he also said that cleanliness makes him feel very sick, and then he proceeded to smoking animal feces while eating rotten animal flesh. Amu Haji adopted this lifestyle after suffering emotional setbacks as a youth, and admits that the mere thought of taking a bath after all these years makes him very angry. The poor guy can't even enjoy a hot bath. Number 3. World's tallest Brazilian model. Brazilian model Elisane da Cruz Silva is the world's tallest teen and model with a height of 6 foot 8 inches. She comes from Salinopolis, Brazil, where she was diagnosed with a form of gigantism that was caused by a tumor forming at her pituitary gland in her brain. She was eventually taken for treatment, after which the doctors performed an operation to remove the growing tumor. Even after that, she still kept on growing until she reached her current height. She unfortunately left school after some time because of the series of bullying she went through in the hands of her schoolmates. It was after she had dropped out of school that she ran into Francinaldo da Silva Carvalho, her childhood love interest, who only had a height of 5 feet 4 inches. He was able to look through her towering height and see her for who she was. They officially became a couple, despite the fact that her mother wasn't too supportive of the idea, 3 years later. Number 2. The smallest woman on the planet. Jyoti Amge is a worldwide public figure featured in some horror films, a few shows, and a documentary was specially made just for her. This 27-year-old Indian woman, was listed as the smallest woman alive with a height of 62 centimeters by the Guinness Book of Records. The reason behind her extremely short build rests on a rare genetic disorder known as achondroplasia, which prevents the bones from reaching their full size. Jyoti has never at any point let this condition bring her down, as she can be seen taking a lot of pictures with her normal-sized fans and devoting her time and energy to her number one passion, acting. Number 1. The tallest man in the world. It seems just about right to discuss the world's tallest man right after the world's smallest woman, doesn't it? The world's tallest man is none other than Sultan Kozan, who has an outstanding height of 251 centimeters, which was caused by a tumor growing in his brain. This made his life very difficult, so he had to quit school and work as a farmer. The massive height makes it very difficult for him to walk, so he has to use crutches, which can be such a pain. It's also difficult for him to go shopping for articles of clothing, especially shoes, since his size isn't available. He doesn't fit into most cars, so he has to travel in large vehicles such as buses. Wow, seems to be having it rough sometimes. I wonder how he sits on the toilet. He, however, didn't let this discourage him, as he is really living a full life. He's even married now. Which of these people shocked you the most? Now that you've seen what some people have to go through, I hope you're happy and content with how you look. Also, if you learned anything new today, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that notification icon to be part of our next video. Till then, stay safe, keep exploring. Bye-bye.